until the whole world descended into frozen blackness. As the Earth spins on its annual journey around the Sun, it is tilted at 23.5 degrees to its orbit. This means that at one point, the northern half of the globe faces towards the Sun and gives us our northern summer. 6 months later, it faces away from the Sun, and we have our winter. And as the seasons change, so does the position of sunrise. At midsummer, the Sun rises in the northeast, but this position gradually shifts southward until midwinter, when it rises in the southeast, a difference of nearly 90 degrees. At the equinoxes around March the 20th and September the 23rd, both poles receive the same amount of light and heat. Days and nights are the same length, and the Sun rises due east. The religion of the passage tomb builders was at least partly dedicated to the Sun. Among many ancient farming peoples, where survival depended on knowledge of the seasons, religion was focused on the Sun. An understanding of the Sun's progress across the sky was vital to their physical and spiritual lives. But the tombs were not meant simply to record the movements of the Sun. Wooden sightlines to take astronomical observations must have existed long before stone monuments were built. The tombs were designed to contain the bones of the ancestors, and somehow to connect these remains with the movements of the Sun. Prediction of solar events was not a science, but a tradition, a life skill, which appeared to bring the seasons under control. In the great tomb at Mouth, one passage was built to face due east, the other due west. This meant that on the morning of the spring equinox, around March the 20th, the Sun shone directly up the east passage. That evening, when the Sun was setting, its light penetrated into the west passage. We can imagine on that morning a solemn procession slowly moving around the outside of the huge mound, stopping and contemplating the symbols on each of the decorated curbstones. Perhaps the intention was to include the souls of departed ancestors in the celebration of spring, or to get their blessing, so that the process of the year would continue as it always had. As the Earth journeys on in its orbit, the northern half of the globe comes to face into the Sun, and summer comes to the northern hemisphere. Much as in more recent times, the people of the Boyne Valley probably climbed hills, swam in rivers, and lit hilltop bonfires to celebrate the summer solstice on June the 21st, the longest day of the year. But they also believed that at these quarter days, the junctions between spring, summer, autumn, and winter, the world they could see and feel was much closer than usual to the world of the spirits. And as the northern hemisphere begins to tilt away from the Sun, winter approached the Boyne Valley. Days became shorter, shadows longer, and the Sun fell lower in its track across the southern sky. Grass and food crops stopped growing. Young or delicate animals were taken to shelter. The earth got colder and the sky darker, until December the 21st, the winter solstice, and the greatest festival of the year. People from miles around must have gathered in Newgrange on the night of December the 20th to pray and to watch for the Sun rising over the high ground opposite the tomb. Most of the gathering stayed outside the entrance to the tomb, where small oval settings of granite and quartz, a mineral connected in many societies with light, invoked the power of the earth and the Sun. Inside the chamber, a small group of elders assembled to witness the communion between the sunlight and the souls of their ancestors, perhaps to deposit a newly cremated burial. As the shining ball of the midwinter sunrise climbed over the horizon, the quartz around the entrance to the tomb took on a golden color. Seconds later, sunlight penetrated the roof box, and a thin beam of light appeared on the floor of the chamber, casting a warm glow on the assembled people, living and dead. As the light retreated slowly back down the passage, what had happened in the minds of the people? Did the energy from the sun bring spiritual life to the souls interred in the chamber? Or did the spirits of the ancestors travel along the shaft of light to revive the sun and banish darkness? Whatever they believed had taken place, they now knew that the sun would once again climb in the sky towards springtime and the beginning of a new year.